So, which one would you say is your favorite handheld console? If you had to pick one, I know that's a hard question.
I knew you were gonna ask it too, man. I thought I had the right answer. Listen, I'll try to narrow it down then answer. But it's between the Game Boy Advance and PSP.
Yeah,
The Game Boy Advance, like I have so many games. I have over 100 games on that system, and the Game Boy Advance has always been to me like a sequel to the Super Nintendo system, a
yeah,
32-bit Super
exactly.
Nintendo, pretty much. Um, oh my God, dude, I hate to say this, man, but if I had to go with it, because I love the PSP. The PSP is awesome, but if I had to choose one, I got to go with the Game Boy Advance.
I think that's a fair option. To be fair, honestly, I really do. And I think, like you say, it's because it is the continuation of the SNES almost, isn't it?
Hmm.
And it's like
Yeah.
there's such a huge library on it of amazing games. Um, a game I really want to get on it now. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure it's a Game Boy Advance game, but Boktai and Boktai 2. You know the
So,
it's where you play as like a vampire, and it's a Hideo Kojima game, and it's got the light sensor on the cartridge. So when you're outside, it can sense you staying
oh, that's
inside.
that. That game had a sequel on the DS. It was called Lunar Nights.
Did
Uh,
it? I didn't realize that.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but yeah, I know what you're talking
Boktai,
about now.
yeah, but
Sorry.
like such an interesting library, like on the Game Boy Advance. It's like
Yeah,
even
that's
to this
unique.
day. Yeah,
Here's
totally.
another game, Drill Dozer, the
Right.
drill game and everything. The Kirby's tilting something. I can't remember. You tilt the game. That was kind of unique and everything like that. But I have more games on the Game Boy Advance, and it shows that just that system was just more for me, especially when it comes to retro gaming. They
Yeah.
don't make games like that anymore. It seems like
No,
it.
they
You know
don't.
what they do? And like if they do, they're indie. They need
Yeah.
Kickstarters, or it's just yeah, it's
Exactly,
pretty
and
crazy.
like I'm an indie developer myself, and I support every indie game I can. But
Mhm.
we are starting to get a little bit saturated with those kinds of games that
Right.
don't necessarily match up to the quality of what we used to have back in the day, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So I think it's like you're right. There's a certain kind of experience you get on those consoles, like the Game Boy Advance in particular, that it's really hard to replicate.
Yeah.
To be honest, if I had to pick, now I'm a bit of a PS Vita fanboy, so
Yeah.
mine would be between the PS Vita and the Nintendo DS Lite. The Vita, I love it so much because that when I first got that console, that for me was like, what we said about the PSP feeling like it was bringing home console gaming on the go with you, but the
Hmm.
PSP always felt like it was a little like half a generation behind. Whereas the PS Vita for me genuinely felt like it was toe to toe with the PS3. And the game library, I mean, I found out about visual novels through the PS Vita. I found out about the Persona series through the PS Vita.
Oh
There's
wow.
so many games that I didn't even realize, experienced and found out about through the PS Vita. I absolutely fell in love with it, and it's always had this kind of like hard to acquire, or this I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but this higher level of attainability for me because the games are so expensive and the consoles are quite expensive now, that it's always been something I wanted to collect for a lot, which is why I focused on it so much this year. But if I had to pick, I'd have to say the DS Lite. And the reason
Okay.
why it is because it gives you so much backwards compatibility. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a cop out, but in all honesty,
No, it's not. That's a more
but
access
yeah,
to more games. That's
exactly.
actually a good reason.
If there was one handheld console I had to pick up every single day, it would be the DS Lite because it would just give me access to so many of my favorite games. And for me, that was the pinnacle of backwards compatibility in any form of console. I think Nintendo nailed it on that one.
Hmm.
And then obviously it's hard to keep up backwards compatibility as technology goes on. But for me, that was like absolute pinnacle.
Yeah, I mean, just the ability to play your older games on a newer console is great, and that's something. Not to change the subject too much, but Microsoft is doing that with the Xbox Series X, the
Exactly.
backwards compatibility. People are loving that. Sony needs to pick up on that. I know
Absolutely.
I know they're doing like PS4 stuff with the PS5, but don't forget PS1, PS2, and even
Yeah.
PS3. Even though it'd be hard to emulate that thing. I don't know how they would do it, but
It
they could
would
do
be
something.
hard, but like that's what makes it even more desirable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's so
yeah,
many amazing
exactly.
games on the PS3 that, I feel like a lot of people missed as well because like the Xbox 360 got so much of the limelight.
Yeah.
Um, I'm really disappointed with what PlayStation have done with the backwards compatibility. I
Yeah.
had hints. I heard rumors and things that they were going to go for the full generation PS1 to PS5, which I didn't see how they could do, but I had a little bit of a glimmer of hope that they would. And then when it's just PS4, they're doing a great job of PS4, but it's like it's just last generation. It doesn't feel the same. Do you know what I mean?
I 100% get it.
Yeah,
Um, but when it comes to like the portables, though, man, that was a good choice. That you chose those, man. This is something about those games that we'll never get today anymore with those those
exactly.
those systems. Um, when you play a PSP game or Vita game, I feel like you could play those games on a regular television or whatnot.
Yeah,
When it comes to the Game Boy, it just feels like those type of games, man, are just I don't know. Hard to put it into words, man. It's just really
I think
nostalgic.
that's it. It's nostalgia, isn't it? And I really recognized that impact of nostalgia earlier this year. Like I've been collecting for a few years now. And I'm playing a lot more retro games than I have done, let's say, in the past 10 years. So like I'm in that nostalgia a lot. But the real true nostalgia really hit for me when earlier this year I did like a 30-day Game Boy challenge where I only played Game Boy for 30 days, nothing else. And honestly, looking at that screen, seeing those pixels, feeling the Game Boy in your hand, and experiencing those games, even though like technically on paper I had a PlayStation 5 sat next to me waiting to be
Mhm,
played, the draw and the appeal of the Game Boy was just phenomenal. And it was nostalgia. It was like
mhm.
pure nostalgia rush. Maybe that improves it or not. Or I was having this discussion with my dad. He isn't into video games at all, and he didn't understand why I was like, "Why are you playing these old games? I understood why you played them when you were 5, but why are you playing them now?" But I said to him, it's not just about the concept of it being a simple game, which a lot of handheld games were back in those days. It's about the game feel, like how the character moves, how it reacts, the speed,
Mhm.
all those things. I compared Pit Fighter, a fighting game that I used to have, with Mortal Kombat 2, which Mortal
Mm,
Kombat 2 still isn't a great game, but on the Game
mhm,
Boy, in terms of fighting games, it's decent. And what makes those two games so different is that game feel, and I
mhm.
think those consoles, those games, and this is something I'm really like keen to always focus on, is that handheld gaming, because it was always a step behind console gaming, meant developers had to focus and work through limitations and therefore provide more unique experiences sometimes. And that's something I feel is starting to get lost now. The more console handheld gaming comes to like home quality level, you're just getting home console games on the go, which is great, but it's not the same kind of game
It's
feel
like
as you
it's
get
like
on handheld.
yeah, I know. Like games that were made specifically for handheld,
Yeah,
you're not really. I get what you're saying on that. The Switch really kind of like it kind of throws a wrench in there because it's a console, but yet it's a portable at the same time. But it mostly feels like it's console games on there.
exactly. Yeah,
I don't. Well, this. I mean, times are just changing.
exactly.
And it's just the way it is, and the way gamers are now. Much as I hate to say this, they probably won't even care about these type of games that we love anymore. They don't want to appreciate them
I know.
because I see a lot of these kids today when I look at like when I go online, I see all these Twitch streams that people are watching people play Fortnite and stuff like that. These kids are into that, and I think the Fortnite's on the Switch too, isn't it? They can play
Yes, it is.
Fortnite
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on the go. It's like, dude, like
You can play
this.
on your mobile phone.
Wow. See,
Yeah,
yeah.
honestly, it's crazy. And that's it. It's like it feels like everybody cares about these retro games, but then I
Hmm.
realize we're just in our bubble of a retro gaming community,
We
and
are.
then when you take a step out, a lot of people are like, I remember when I went for my first COVID vaccination, I had my Game Boy with me because I was doing the 30-day challenge, and this lady walked past and she was like, "Wow, I've not seen one of those in ages." She was like, "Oh my god, I used to play that all the time," and I was like, "Yeah, I play this every day."
Right on.
It was so funny. It was good, man.
It's man, so many memories go through like this our generation of gaming, and I didn't realize it until I did my channel is that I didn't understand like there was people coming to my channel in the beginning, but they weren't really like into the retro games I was talking about. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until I started talking about like newer games a lot more people joined in. And I said, wow, retro is really kind of niche, whether we
Yeah.
realize it or not. We're the niche community. Everybody's into the newer games, like Dead by Daylight, Fortnite, Call of Duty. They love that
Yeah.
multiplayer type games. They do these Twitch streams for hours playing those games, and I'm like, wow, dude, it's pretty insane. And one of my friends, oh god,
No, go on, carry on.
one of my friends' kids, like when we talked to my buddy when he was gonna have it when he's about to, before his kid was born, we said, yeah, I'm gonna get him to play these retro games so appreciate where games came from. And it happened at all. His kid went straight into Fortnite and all that other stuff. And like when you look back at Mario Brothers, he's like, "What? I'm not playing that."
I'm not
Like
playing
I was
that.
like, "Wow."
It truly
So
amazes me, right? Because like I think the majority of YouTube audience is younger, so
mm,
people who are more in our generation are probably the smaller group, makes us more of a niche. So it always amazes me whenever I get a comment from somebody who's like, hey, I'm only such and such like years old, that you're some young person, and I love collecting for the Game Boy, for this, that, the other. It always amazes me that like someone, in their teens or whatever would be interested to collect for consoles that they weren't even around for. It always really
mhm.
interests me that, and I always wanted to make sure like my kids, for me, had the proper video game upbringing, if you know what I mean. And because like my brother-in-law, he loves video games, absolutely loves them, and I kind of introduced him to them, but I didn't realize how quickly things like Fortnite will pull you in, and he became quite quickly a very modern next gen kind of gamer. And he loves his video games, absolutely loves them. But I always thought he's maybe missed out on the opportunity to experience some of the best video game experiences that are around, simply
Mhm.
because they're older.
Right.
So I always said, like, actually what started me on my major retro game collecting journey, if you like, was that I wanted to get a Game Boy and a copy of Pokemon to give to my son when he turned 5. And it was through buying that I really started to get the bug again, and I started buying Game Boy games and everything. The rest is history. But I mean, he does play. My son plays PlayStation 5 and everything, but I feel like he does really enjoy some of the old school games as well, like
And
Mario
it's nice to see
Strikers.
that.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
enjoy them as a family. Like we pop the Retro Pi on, and the Raspberry Pi even, and like we'll enjoy some old school games, and it's nice to do that. And I feel like a lot of people might think like, what's so what? It's just video games. Let them enjoy what they want. But I think it's nice to be able to enjoy some of the simpler parts of video gaming, as opposed to being overwhelmed with all the online and everything that
Yeah, because
comes.
games today they don't really end. I mean, they end when the match ends and you keep going or whatever like
Yeah,
that. I like games that have like endings that are like, oh, there's
yeah,
a deep story into it. You
absolutely.
know, um, I mean, I think the last game I played that was really deep, like hardcore deep. Well, nah, I actually it was Horizon Zero Dawn was a good one. I don't know if you played that one.
I need to play that.
Mass Effect trilogy, which
Oh,
is
love
oh
that. So
man,
good.
that game. So that game is brilliant, man. Oh
I
my
even like
gosh.
the ending. A lot of people complain, but I really like the ending.
The first ending, really?
Well, yeah, actually, I did. I'll be honest. Yeah, I did. And I think for me, it was because it was such a build up. It was nice to finally reach the end point. Do you think
Yeah,
it was the relief of I finally finished this series, as opposed to the story itself was
right,
great?
right. It
You know
was
what I mean?
finally over. I just to not just to go into this a little bit of the ending of that game. Um, when I beat it, I got the best ending you could at the time before they gave me an extended ending. But I was kind of bummed because I would like them to go into a little bit more what happened
Yeah,
afterwards. You know what I mean? I like because it's a far journey you play in that game, so you want to know a little
exactly.
bit
Yeah,
more. And they kind of just cut us off and like
yeah,
depending on what ending you got. So, but great series nonetheless. But going back to the Game Boy stuff, I remember the first time I beat Zelda. Um, the
Link's
a link to the
Awakening.
Link's Awakening. I'm about to say Link to the Past, and how I felt after I beat that game. Man, it was such a good experience for me. I was bummed out towards the end of the game
Yeah.
because I knew it was ending, and because the characters in the game say weird stuff to you towards the end of the game when
All
you're about
right.
to go to the
Okay.
last dungeon. They say like you find out that it's pretty much the game's a dream or whatnot. Spoilers
Oh,
of
don't
Tarkov's.
spoil it for me. I'm still going through it.
Oh no, never mind. Forget what I said.
Don't worry, it's
It's
fine.
too late.
I'll use the flashy
Well,
games.
which one are you playing?
Link's Awakening.
I mean,
So
are you playing the remake?
oh no, the original on the Game
You're
Boy.
playing the original. Okay, so
Um,
forget what I.
well, I
Yeah.
need to ask you, right, because I've been playing this recently. I started it last year actually, and I've been playing it through phases. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through now, and
Okay.
as I'm playing through it, I know I play games totally differently now, right? But as I'm playing through it, I'm thinking, how on earth did kids understand what you had to do? How on earth did they figure out these puzzles? I'm not ashamed to say I've had to use a walkthrough to get through it. I would not be able to complete the game with the time I have on my hands these days. But it genuinely amazes me, like when I find out some of the ways to progress and things you need to do. I'm like, this truly was a game where kids must have explored for
Yeah.
hours, just explored
Yeah.
the world for hours because it was fun, and then stumbled across something, as opposed to these days in games where you're constantly running towards the next objective. And I'm
Yeah,
guessing,
like a linear path, pretty much. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right. I when you were talking about that, it reminded me when I played Zelda 1 and 2. How you had to find out where to go to the next dungeon or whatnot.
yeah,
You had to explore. You had to, like, there was no hints.
yeah, yeah,
You had to go and mess around. I remember one time I couldn't find where I had to go, and I started just putting bombs everywhere because I was
yeah.
frustrated. And all of a sudden, a bomb blows up this rock, and a door opens, and it was where I needed to go. I was like, "Whoa!"
Wow.
That kind of stuff, like, is amazing, and you did it
Yeah,
on your own. You know what I mean? Which was
exactly. Yeah,
nice.
the sense of achievement you must have felt doing that. And
Oh yeah,
the thing is, though, like Link's Awakening, such a solid, rich, and deep experience on a Game Boy. Do you know what I mean? On a P screen Game Boy, and that for me, I mean, Pokemon is I really enjoy Pokemon, but for me, I think Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, is the game is that if I had to put an example of how amazing handheld gaming can be, Link's Awakening is such a great example of that because like one of the earliest generation consoles, and you've got an experience that to this day developers would still try to emulate, recreate.
yeah. It's funny. I've seen some indie developers try to create like Zelda-like games, and they look good and everything like that. But
Yeah,
they want that nostalgic memory too, like us, for those type of games.
yeah.
Um, Man, you see how the Zelda games have gone up in price now?
Have they? I need to bulk up my collection.
If you have it already, lucky. But man, if you don't, if
Yeah.
you're looking for those games, I'm like, wow, dude, why are they so much?
Wow.
But
No, I've got a few Zelda games in the collection, but I've got Link's Awakening on the Game Boy.
would you say that's your favorite portable Zelda?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I haven't
Okay.
had a lot of experience with Zelda games. I've kind of been a bit overwhelmed by the concept, to be honest, to jump
Hmm.
into them. Um, but I'm trying to correct that now because once I started playing Link's Awakening, I realised this is amazing. I'm
Yeah.
getting Breath of the Wild for Christmas. Well, I hope I am. Hope Santa brings me it. Um, but I don't want to jump into Breath of the Wild. I want to do my like Zelda homework first, if you like.
Hmm.
I've got one on the DS. I can't remember which one it is now, but you start. It's like a little cartoony character style. Phantom
Oh, Phantom,
Hourglass, is it or something?
Phan- Phantom Hourglass,
I think so.
Spirit Tracks, Spirit. Okay, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Phantom Hourglass.
So I've got that one, but I didn't play that all that much. But yeah, my Zelda collection is woefully lacking. So if you had to, I'm going to give you another difficult question now. If
Go
you
ahead.
had to pick to only ever play home consoles or handheld
Oh,
consoles, what would you
could you do
pick?
this to me?